Lionel trains have endured for over 100 years. Why? Why have Lionel trains survived while so many other toys have faded away? What is the magic of Lionel? To find the answer, we traveled all around the country and talked to folks who collect Lionel trains, who have built layouts, and who share a genuine affection and enthusiasm for Lionel trains. So let's get started. Welcome to the magic of Lionel.
Estimate, I couldn't pin it down to
Boyd Mason started
time,
young.
but I would say I was about 10 years old when my father taught me how to repair trains. In those days, I was working on old 33s and 38s.
At 14, Boyd was repairing trains in his cousin's appliance store, and in 1944, Boyd went into business for himself in Matawan, New Jersey. The business boomed. Today, what started as a small repair shop is now a busy full-service hobby store and museum featuring a 25 by 28 layout surrounded by 1,800 feet of shelving, displaying over 3,500 toy trains.
Well, it's known as the Hazlitt Train Museum, and it's open to the public on a charge basis. If you're a regular customer, that you're coming in here all the time, we never charge you, but we do have a lot of people that come in just to look at trains, and we do have a $2 charge per adult on that. If they got small kids with them, we don't charge them.
Construction on the layout started on May 1st, 1978, and it was open to the public 6 months later. Boyd's family and friends contributed over 20,000 hours.
It's kept our family together. It's not the only thing that kept the family together, but projects were always taken on group-wise. We had 3 boys and 3 girls. And Mom always took care of the girls, and I guess I took care of the boys. And the girls, interested in trains to a degree. There isn't any one of my kids that hasn't worked on the layout at one time or another. We have 7 complete loops, which will handle 13 trains maximum. The 2 outside loops are geared to where they'll run 3 trains each, and then the inner loop will run another 3 trains. So that's 9 trains alone just on 3 tracks. It's all done with block signals and relays. Basic Lionel block signals with DC relays converted to AC so that they'll answer when the wheels complete the circuit on the track, they'll answer positively and switch the signals. The layout is powered with 5 ZWs showing and 6 Zs underneath the bench.
Boyd operates mostly Lionel post-war and modern era trains. Today, a right-of-way dockside switcher is also making the rounds. Like most operators of public displays, Boyd prefers the inexpensive engines with CAN motors to the more expensive engines with AC motors.
For our use, it's the best engine. Now I had a Hudson running in there. I really don't want to put a lot of expensive locomotives on the layout because they're going to get beat up, they're going to get worn out, and it's unnecessary. We will do it every once in a while for show. I'll run a 1938 Hudson, a 763 that I have there at the turntable. We run that. I run the GG1 every once in a while off the overhead to do that just to change things, but I don't want those locomotives running continuously. All those type engines have to come in once a week for brushes. Now we do run old engines and we do run new engines, but your motors are basically the same. So the maximum we get out of a set of brushes is 1 week's time. So that's usually a Friday night project where I have friends that come around, they come in and they service the trains and oil the wheels on the old type where you got your free running wheel, your wheel that's on the your fast angle wheel. In the plastic trucks, you don't have to oil them in. They're self-lubricating. RS3 type engines with the little dual motor engines with the little motor in the truck, we can get approximately a 1.5-year service out of that locomotive before it's worn out. And that's a lot of running, because Christmas time those trains go on at 9:30 in the morning. They don't go off until 9:30 at night.
One of the outside loops is powered by overhead wiring.
It's all scratch built, yes. It took us 3 years from the time we started building the post and the catenary and got it operating. It was 3 years. The trolley wire itself is built out of welding rod, and the uprights are built out of 3/8-inch steel beams, and they were all welded together, and there's a screw through the bottom of the beam of the upright so that you can tighten it to the table and fasten it. It's kind of overkill on the upright, but it's very, very rigid. Make yourself a sturdy board, because the average board is 4x8, but you can't really get a lot on a 4x8. So what we do is we tell people to, pick up a ping pong table size board, which is 5x9, and then, a lot can be put on a 5x9, because there's a big misconception between Lionel trains and HO trains. Lionel meaning O or O27, and HO is HO. But if you take the diameter of the circle, HO, the minimum diameter that you can really do anything with, is 3 feet or 36 inches. Lionel has the O27, which is only 27 inches wide. The trains are twice as big as HO, because that's what HO means, half of O. And O gauge is a 32-inch wide circle. So again, you can still build yourself a tremendous size pike, either on a 4x8, if that's all the room you have, or a 5x9. Lay your track out, get road bed and put underneath the track, so that'll silence the board. And because if I didn't have road bed in there, you wouldn't be able to stay in there while those trains were running. It'd drive you right out of here.
Use Homicell?
No, we use cork road bed by Midwest. That's what we sell in the store, and that's what we use on all our layouts. Basically, get all your track work done. If you're going to put a rise, make your trestles and get all your wiring done. Make sure that your layout is operating properly, that it's doing everything that you want it to do. Lay out where you want your mountain. Make sure that you can get at it in case the train derails, either from either end or through the back. Take wire screen, crumple your wire screen up, and then what we do is, instead of using plaster on that wire screen, we use a very thin, soupy mixture of plaster with 1-foot square rags. And then we lay that over the wire screen, and that dries like almost instantly. And you don't have 5,000 pounds of plaster on this table that you can't pick up. And then we also make the tunnel openings, like the tunnel openings in there are all made, everything's all made by hand. Those wood tunnels, all that was cut. Each piece was cut on the saw, and that was all put up there one piece at a time with a hot glue gun, and the stones were set in cement. My daughter made those, my daughter Lynn. And you paint it and put grass on it. Let your imagination be your guide. That's it. Do what you think is the best. There's nothing I can tell you is better or not better. It's what you like.
The shelves around the layout contain over 3,500 Lionel items, both pre-war and post-war. An impressive number to be sure, but only a fraction of Boyd's complete collection, which includes over 20,000 Lionel items. The purpose of the museum is to educate. Each item has a little sign explaining when the item was made, how much it cost at the time, and other pertinent information. We get frequented by the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the Indian Guides. I don't want to leave anybody out. The Brownies, the senior citizens. Most of the trains that are on display range from 1916 to 1969, and I do have I've got a couple noteworthy trains there, such as the reissue on the General, which we used again in the movie Arthur. This engine is
the Southern Crescent that we used in Arthur, and we still use it on our layout.
Over the years, Boyd has done business with some pretty big names in the entertainment field, and some pretty big names in the toy train field, too. Boyd Mason designed a special train for Frank Sinatra. It was a scale model of the New York subway's 8 train. In the 30s, 40s, and 50s, jazz fans took the 8 train from Manhattan to visit the famous jazz clubs in Harlem. The train inspired Duke Ellington to write Take the 8 Train, a song that has become a jazz classic.
Take the 8 train to find the quickest way to get to Harlem. If you should take the 8 train, you'd find you'll get where you're going if you hurry. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Now it's coming. Ooh, ooh. Can't you hear? The rails are humming. Get with it. If you should take the 8 train, you'd find it. You'll get where you're going if you hurry.
Boyd is an expert at repairing trains and takes pride in the service he offers. Boyd has a huge inventory of original Lionel parts and keeps some of them in this old printer's type chest.
All kinds of parts. There's bearings. Here's your drive rods. I have 3 drawers of drive rods. Here's another drawer of drive rods. And then all pre-war parts.
The figures.
And then there's your figures drawers. These are all original.
That's the merchandise card.
That's your merchandise boxes.
You need some of these parts? Forget about it.
I am not a parts dealer. I save my parts for my repairs. One of 2 drawers for like your fire cars and your all your little motorized units. There's string, there's men, there's you know, the old parts, parts for your tie ejector car, your cord for your.
Are they all original?
All original. Now this is exactly how the cord came. So when you ordered them separately from Lionel, they were pre-assembled with the little black thing on, or if you wanted it in bulk, this is the way it came from Lionel. This is the exact cord for the coal ramp. But again, like I want to emphasize, I'm not a parts dealer. We don't sell parts.
Boyd is also emphatic about how his shop does repairs.
Because it must be done my way or not at all. Because inside of every piece that we fix, we write with this pen the repair number and the date that we did it, and then our sticker goes on the back of it. So if there's any problems, we'll stand behind them 100%. Some people don't want reproduction. They want their original, and quite obviously it costs more for me to go ahead and fill it, make a mold and make all new parts on this that are broken off and color it in than it does for me to sell him a reproduction tender cover. He gets a perfectly running engine, which we guarantee. Whether it be a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, you know, whatever the case may be, because trains only really get, on the average person through our Christmas repairs, that's the only time they take those trains out. So you know, you have to be, you're charging a lot of money to start with, and you want to make sure that the person gets what they're paying for. And a long guarantee, we feel, is warranted under these circumstances. Now if a guy, and we've had it too, where guys dropped his engine and broke an eye on it or bent the roof I come in and I take the bend out of it, or I'll cast a new eye and put on it, and not charge them anything. Depends on the customer. We paint, restore, re-letter, but we don't do any plastics. We just do pre-war. The GG1 cabs we send out to Elliott Wells, have him do those. We hand do every one of these wheels, just like you see me doing it right now. Shine them all up, shine both wheels. Clean them up, outsides, inside. Well, that's what that looks like in comparison to this one right here. There's a tremendous amount of rust on the truck. Very lightly so that you don't turn everything silver. Clean the truck, clean the sides, turn it over, clean inside. Now the truck is all nice and clean. Looking like this, here's a whole load of rust in this one. This is pretty well rusted. And I'll get one to show you that I've tumbled. And what we do is we add pure nickel to our tumbling media. These are nickel ingots. And it's actually, it does a transfer on it. Now there's one that was tumbled. Here's one that was tumbled. You can still see the effects of the rust where the rust ate the metal away. But everything's all re-nickeled now. So now that's got a good life on it again. Here's one that was really rusted, ate through in portions of it. But again, we saved the part. It's an original part.
Accessories on the layout include 3 versions of the Lionel oil derrick. The common version is green with a green top. Green with a red top is much harder to find, and light green with a red top is extremely rare.
I think it's an excellent hobby. I think it's kept me young. It's kept my mind alert.
Boyd Mason, still crazy about trains after all these years.
Like a lot of people, Stu Schuster of Birmingham, Michigan, received his first Lionel train for Christmas. But unlike a lot of people, Stu still has his first train. And it was no inexpensive starter set either. It was a top-of-the-line freight set headed by a 763E Hudson.
Well, 763 was purchased by my dad before I was born in 1938, and he purchased it at Christmas time from Horns in Pittsburgh for like $50. It was it was a lot of money then. I just have memories of that locomotive running around the tree or running on a permanent layout in the early years. We got a Santa Fe diesel in the 50s when it first came out. So the layout had the Hudson locomotive and the Santa Fe diesels. And that was our main rolling stock. The layout is 21 foot long, and it's 7 foot wide at the narrowest point, and it's actually 14 feet at the widest point.
The layout has no legs. It is suspended with cables from the ceiling.
When we moved into this house, it was not uncommon to have water in the basement unannounced anytime. And when we started with the layout, we wanted to have the layout, number one, at eye level of an adult. It also made it very easy to work underneath the layout, access to the wiring and the mechanics of it. It's supported by conduit pipes with compression fittings with a set screw. The whole layout is locked into the support poles in the basement and one corner into the wall to keep it from swinging.
The list of trains Stu operates reads like a pre-war toy train Hall of Fame. 2 Hall of Famers, the 763 freight set and a 201-060 switcher set operate on the same loop. The 201 is equipped with Magic Electrol, a feature Lionel introduced in 1940. New sensational mystery motor enables two trains to run on the same track circuit at the same time, independently controlled, proclaimed the Lionel catalog in typical breathless prose. Actually, Magic Electro wasn't much of a mystery. It was pretty basic electronics. On most engines, Lionel used AC current to control the E-unit and DC current to operate the couplers. On Magic Electro engines, DC current was used to operate the E-unit. By using AC current to operate one train on the loop and DC to operate the other, you could run two trains on the same loop independently. The only mystery was why the system didn't work better.
It works great when you're alone. When you get company over, everything jumps the track.
Other sets that see a lot of action include a 616 Flying Yankee and the 636 City of Denver, still looking good and running good after all these years. A 249E heading the colorful 1700 series lithographed tin cars. '2640 series green passenger cars headed by a 224E. The only set that is not original Lionel is this Pride Lines reproduction of Lionel's 742 City of San Francisco.
The model builder manual that Lionel put out in the late 30s, early 40s, I read that magazine from cover to cover for years, poring over the plans, imagining the kind of layout I could build. So this layout really represents a lot of that thinking. There were a lot of modelers, particularly after the war. The model railroad field was opening up, and there was a lot of demand for more scale-like appearing buildings. The model builder staff designed this set of plans, which would have been a coal-tipple building of the era to fit over the Lionel coal-tipple. The grist mill was also from the Model Builder magazine in October 1945. We found the set of plans in the Model Builder magazine, and it was from the Roadside America display. So I made this one basically out of foam core and then applied a decorative wood siding to it. My dad had built the water wheel out of plexiglass, and then it came together. Actually, the foam core original was a study model, but it worked out so well we just continued to use it as an armature and put the decorative exterior on it. And I've got a truck windshield washer container and motor, and that's what supplies the water. It pumps it up into a little storage tank over the raceway and down around the water wheel, drains back into the tank, so it just recycles. This oblong box and hamper company building was built exactly the way the plans called for, painting silver on crescent board, using a pencil to inscribe lines to represent the corrugated steel side of the building. And it's a great opportunity to build something like that from very basic materials as compared to the resin cast, die cast formed wood pieces that are in a lot of the sophisticated kits today.
The classic 313 bascule bridge provides a beautiful passageway for the colorful trains.
Well, it works fine. It sounds a little bit like a coffee grinder. Many times we've gone through it and adjusted the gears and lubricated it, but you know it's working. As a matter of fact, when the layout was at eye level, it of course raised the whole assembly up higher. We had to cut a notch in one of the steam pipe for the furnace to clear the bridge, and that was an unanticipated event.
Other accessories on the layout include the 45 gate man, number 47 crossing gates, .1045 flagman, .440C control panel for the 440 signal bridge, a 97 coal elevator, and a 164 log loader. And the very desirable 840 power station. Stu wanted to use a 156 station platform between the tracks, but it was too wide. So he cut down the width of a modern era version and repainted it with pre-war colors. Stu's son wanted him to include this Tyco HO slot cars set on the layout. It's called the US-1 trucking set, and it packs plenty of action. A bulldozer loads logs into a dump truck. Which delivers them to the General Construction Company. There's also a gravel hauler.
The control panels are patterned after the Lionel control panels in the Model Builder Manual from the 40s, where it housed all of the controls, the whistle controls, the reverse, the Type C transformers. I took it one step forward where you have all of the accessories underneath a flat surface, and you can push your finger then through the appropriate holes to control the different operations. The orange and the blue representing the Lionel packaging was just more of an artistic transition. There are 4 different blocks on the layout and controlled by each of the transformers. So each of the children in the early days could control different aspects of the layout. To operate it correctly, there should be 2 people, because I got 2 major control panels apart from each other. The Lionel Trainmaster control is awfully tempting. It would certainly consolidate all the controls, and it would then be able to run it almost like a prototype railroad. That'd be great.
One of the dominant aspects of the layout are the many trees. Some were made by cutting up an old artificial Christmas tree. Others were made of baby's breath. Stu uses these jack pine tree models to help disguise the layout support poles. The backdrops are mounted on foam core. They are blown-up pictures taken from a photograph from Model Railroader magazine. Like every layout builder, Stu is not finished yet.
It's been terrific. I enjoy it, and probably tomorrow I'll have new plans and new revisions, and probably be enlarging it.
The type of layout that I was really looking to build was one that I could operate the trains and show the operation of all the accessories. The trains are so much more fun when they're active and animated and moving. I like the noise. The layout basically allows me to collect the items that I like, to display the items that I like, so that the stuff is there to be seen by myself or anyone else who comes to visit. I really wanted to show people what this stuff was. It's so wonderful. So the department store or the store type layout where you can put the pieces out is really what I tried to do. I like to operate the accessories, get the trains running at all times, which is it's just a lot of fun. There's 4 loops here. We have an outside standard gauge loop with a passing siding. Then there is a dedicated wide radius O-gauge loop to run Hudsons, Hiawathas, 752, Union Pacifics and such. Then in the middle of it all, I built what I would consider to be the type of layout any kid would have loved to have. There's 2 loops connected by track switches so that you can run from one loop into the other, all the way in, all the way out, a reversing loop, a passing siding for the freight work that can be done so that you can hag cars down by the cranes and by the log loaders and still operate them while running trains. So you can get 4 separate trains running at one time. Makes a lot of nice tin plate noise. Well, right now I'm using 2 ZW type transformers, a 275 watt, and 2 early Z type transformers. The early Zs tend to produce a little more power, and with the amount of lighting I'm using here, I need their extra effort, extra electrical, availability to keep up on the layouts. The switches, I'm running a set of, one set of wide radius O-gauge switches and 6 pairs of standard O22 type switches, which allows me to take and pull the trains in and out of the center loops and off and on. The trains that are running are basically an example of what comes off the shelves. The number 1700 Lionel Jr., I just like to run because it's so animated and most people don't see the train run. I then run, and my next line out on this freight track, I run a nice 258 hauling a long string of 2600 series cars. A lot of color, a lot of clickety-clack, a lot of fun. Then on the wide radius dedicated O-gauge loop, I'll usually run either a 260 Lionel steamer with a set of 800 series freights, or lately I've been having fun running a 763 with a set of full-scale, semi-scale type freight cars, along with a 227 switcher cut in, hauling a full set of 2800 series tin plate cars. The outside loop has always got some standard gauge on it, and I usually will run a train for about 2 months or so before I get tired of watching it go around, and I'll bring another one down off the board. Presently we're running a number 1770 I's engine, which is the transition engine. It's actually a 390 Lionel with a series of 500 series freight cars. The layout measures 23 feet long by 14 feet across. It's set into a basement, pretty much takes up a wall-to-wall type of an arrangement. At flea markets and scrap sales, I was buying quarter plate mirrors. They're usually $3 or so for a 4x6 section. I proceeded to cut them down to 18 inches tall and mounted them down one wall so that when you look at the trains, you see yourself in the mirrors and you see the layout kind of like from both sides because the mirrors reflect back into itself. The first thing I do when I buy a train is I'll bring it in and I will spend usually a week to 2 weeks tearing it down, getting it mechanically sound again. If it has a problem, I'll repair it. Replacement of wheels is a necessity in many of the things that I collect. But all the trains that are on the shelves are all designed and all, in my own mind, designed to be run, and therefore they shall be run. Lionel created a wonderful, warm, live art in these toys, and the art really is in the colors, in the way that they move, and the noise that they make, even just slamming down the rails, the clickety-clack and the rattle-trap sound. In fact, probably some of the cars that I enjoy the most to run are the little four-wheel 800 series. They just have just the right sound going down the rail. And it's very soothing, very calming. Even after all this time of, going on almost 9 years of collecting with a fever, I still get nervous and I still get a little sweaty palms when I'm getting into a deal because it's something that it excites me, it makes me feel good, and I enjoy it. This is the number 165 magnetic crane with the aluminum superstructure, known to be made in 1940. Difficult piece to find in good shape, mostly because the booms become broken. They're difficult to store and put away without being damaged. We're now looking at the 1941 rare gray variation. Some people feel the reason that they're gray is because of material shortages. The paints were not available to paint them aluminum, a very desirable piece. These are two number 48 whistling stations, manufactured from 1937 to 42. There are two variations here. The one on the right has got the orange roof, the one on the left has the red roof. They sound fairly nice. A number 349 flashing crossing signal, manufactured in 1929 and 1930 only. Very similar to the Lionel number 79, except it has a cast iron base. Using the books, which are probably the most important thing to own if you get into this, is books, reference books. The McComas and Toohey books, the Greenberg books, the O'Brien books, all give little bits of information that when all put together allow you to construct a very sound basis to what you're looking for. But the first thing that my friends started telling me when I started getting into collecting is that the best thing you can do is go out and get the information out of the books. And from that knowledge, start to build what you want and collect what you want. This last Christmas, I was sitting down here, kind of just contemplating, looking at everything, almost a little overwhelmed by all the different things from the 126 stations to the 117s, the 113s, to looking at all the simple streetlights I have. And she snuck down with the camera and caught me in a very pensive mood, just kind of with my hand against my cheek, looking out, going, "What have I done?"
Since TM visited my house about a year and a half ago, I've added a roundhouse to the turntable area. I've also added a diesel fueling facility, a couple sidings, a moon and sunrise and sunsets and automatic dimmers and track lighting for added Disney-esque effects. Added a few trains and backdrop. Seeing Clark Dunham's work in the magazines and the TM videos really made me appreciate the kind of work that he does on backdrops and lighting. And I got to tell you, those layouts that he's been involved with are really, really nice from what I can tell. So I tried a poor man's way of doing that and did some work myself on these things and wanted to try to recreate in some small way what he's done. And I like his idea of mixing fantasy with a little bit of reality, and that's really what Lionel trains are all about, and that's what they are for me. So I try my best to do a little bit of that the way he's done it and kind of expand the horizon of the layouts by adding some backdrops and a little bit of interest. The material I use for the backdrop is called railroad board. And I get it at an art supply store, and then I buy markers, like felt tip pens that are available in lots of different colors, and do my artwork on the back of that, and then cut the board out and make some of it three-dimensional looking, and by putting some buildings in front of others, and the others are glued right back to the backdrop. Yeah, I used Mr. Dunham's idea of using the old Lionel factory from one of the early, like 1926 catalogs or 1932 catalogs. I kind of recreated that Lionel factory And then also I made up an erector set factory. I thought that would fit in with the mid-50 themes as well. I scratch built the diesel fueling station out of some masonite and some wooden dowels, and added a few scenic effects for the hose reels and air reels that they would have to use to really service the diesel engines with. Kind of a spin-off of my HO work. They would refuel the locomotives there and oil them, clean the windows, check everything, make sure everything, all the fluid levels are good. The Lionel wheel grinding set is a nice one. I don't think I have room for it in this layout at this time. We'll have to add on. The roundhouse I built using masonite, and then I covered it with some brick-colored paper and used some plastic acetate folders that come in business office supply stores for the windows, and basically scratch build everything. Once you know what the diameter of the turntable is and you figure your track spacing, then you can kind of lay that out in full scale like on a piece of paper and design the layout or the roundhouse that way. I didn't use anything particular as a model. It's kind of a generic roundhouse. It's really compressed. It's not nearly as long as what a real roundhouse would be, but we're dealing with compressed locomotives too. I don't have any of the scale locomotives, so we got short locomotives and we have a short roundhouse to match. The roundhouse is lit by 21 Christmas tree bulbs, the little clear ones that run at 120 volts, and if you cut those apart, they run at about 3 volts each. The man that was at the burning barrel, I used an old FM radio and took the speaker off, and to the speaker leads attach a 3-volt light bulb and turn it up to where the light bulb blinks quite a bit, and it really simulates a fire pretty good. You put the orange colored plastic over the light bulb, and the light bulb runs cool so it doesn't get hot, and it really looks like a burning fire at that point. As the music is played or the speaker's talking on the radio, it causes the light to get brighter or dimmer, and that's how it modulates the light. I think to get new blood in the hobby, I think that was their intent, is to get some more toy-like features in there, and it doesn't bother me not to have to save a whole lot of money to buy some collectible line that I didn't really need anyhow. So it's okay to take a break from that once in a while and get some toys back in the scene.
Now available, Lionel Nation in a 4-DVD collector's box set. Over 4 hours of great Lionel action, world-class layouts, interviews with collectors, both pre-war and post-war Lionel legends, operating tips, plus the latest from Lionel. Lionel Nation has received rave reviews, both in the mainstream media and in hobby magazines. An incredible mix of Lionel action that will appeal to every Lionel enthusiast, no matter your area of interest. If you love Lionel, you'll love this series, guaranteed.
Welcome to Lionel Nation Part 5. The spectacular North Park Center layout in Dallas will take your breath away. Craig Chedester operates post-war Lionel and collects as many variations as he can find. You'll be dazzled by George Wordrich's command control layout, where both post-war and new Lionel vie for your attention. See the latest Vision locomotives in action and a custom model of the Ferdinand Magellan, the observation car used in presidential campaigns. We visit the New York Central's museum and compare their real trains with Lionel's models of the same trains. We take you to lunch at the Choo Choo Diner in Des Plaines, Illinois, where your cheeseburger and fries are delivered on a Lionel train. Shot in widescreen and high definition, plus a 40-minute bonus feature, original 16mm color film shot in the 50s and 60s of the layouts of charter TCA members. That's almost 2 hours of great Lionel action. Lionel Nation Part 5.
New from TM, Lionel Nation 6. We open with Lionel's classic steam switchers, from the scale and semi-scale switchers of the pre-war era to the high-tech switchers of the modern era. See Steve and Ricky Strauss's Lionel post-war layout, built from beginning to end, right before your eyes. We check out Lionel's irresistible operating and action cars. Lionel's iconic F3 in different color combinations, including the black and red version that was pictured in the 1948 catalog but never made. See both Lionel post-war and pre-war trains on Wayne Coble's 2-level 9x14 foot layout, plus his extensive collection, beautifully displayed on custom-built oak shelving. The latest Lionel Vision and Classics line locomotives in action, plus operating tips and more. Another jam-packed issue filled with the exciting wall-to-wall train action you've come to expect from TM's Lionel Nation series. 65 minutes, only $19.99.
Welcome to Lionel Nation number 7. We have another great show for you. The Lionel Visitors Center layout has a new home. It has been moved to the Railroad Museum in Riverhead, New York. We take you there for an exclusive first look. Jim Suling and Doug Spittler both have modern-era model railroads. They demonstrate different approaches to building layouts. One is aimed at functionality and fun, and the other at realism and prototypical operation. We take a look at the earliest days of steam. We check out Lionel's Alaska NW2 switchers, both the catalog sets and the set created by collectors. Part 2 of Lionel's action and animated cars, and tips on improving performance on MPC locomotives using post-war parts. 60+ minutes of Lionel action and adventure. Don't miss it.
It's clear to me, oh can't you see, it's a Lionel Nation.
Remember when you wanted a Lionel train for Christmas more than anything? The wait was agonizing. Finally it came, Christmas morning. You ran to the living room, heart pounding. There was the Christmas tree, covered with sparkling lights and shimmering tinsel. And under the tree, gliding around an oval of 3-rail track, was a Lionel train puffing smoke. Oh, the excitement. Memories like that are what this video is about. A Lionel Christmas is a poignant mix of heartwarming stories, great toy train action, and beautiful Christmas music that will make your heart soar, train buff or not. A 65-minute tribute to toy trains and Christmas that is guaranteed to bring back fond memories.
Under my Christmas tree.
From the creators of the classic Lionel Christmas Part 1 comes Lionel Christmas Part 2. See the incredible Christmas displays at the Gaylord Hotel in Dallas, the Woody Hickman home where trains and decorations fill every room, and the multi-level layout where Rich DiMondo combines Department 56 Snow Village buildings with Lionel trains. We take you on a behind-the-scenes look at Lionel on NBC's Today Show. We show you the tree in Rockefeller Center and the first ever Lionel retail store just across the street from Radio City Music Hall. We'll talk to hobby store owners who remember when hobby stores featuring Lionel trains were a must-stop at Christmas time for just about every family in the neighborhood. All shot in high definition and widescreen. Plus a bonus feature from the Lionel Nation series, Christmas in New York. We visit the Christmas train displays at Macy's, Grand Central Terminal, and FAO Schwartz. Lionel Christmas Part 2. Don't miss it.
Lionel Christmas.
New from TM, World-Class High Rail Layouts Part 2. Scale-detailed trains and layouts are the current rage in 21st century model railroading. In Part 2, we feature 4 unique displays from around the country. Bob Ermshire used his background in landscaping to create a magnificent multi-level layout that uses real rocks. Ron Zweig's impressive layout includes a scratch-built catenary system, subway, exquisite scenery, and prototypical train operation. Dennis Peffer uses MTH's DCS system to run lashed-up motive power for longer prototypical freight and passenger trains. Carl Tuveson's layout boasts the most realistic-looking track you'll ever see on a high rail layout. There's no third rail. 60 minutes of colorful scale trains running through accurately detailed towns, yards, mountains, and countrysides. World-Class High Rail Layouts Part 2. Prepare to be amazed. TM presents World-Class High Rail Layouts Part 1. The New Jersey High Railers of Paterson, New Jersey have constructed the largest high rail layout in the world. It measures 185 feet long by 45 feet wide. That's 7,400 square feet of suburban life, industry, city high-rises, a 5-foot high helix, mountains, and a model of the New York City transit system. The train masters of Babylon have captured life in mid-century America with 700-foot main lines, subways, sidings, mountains, and a spectacular, custom-built, 10-foot-long trestle bridge. The Nassau Lionel Operating Engineers layout features 28 scale miles of track, tunnels, bridges, mountains, freight yards, engine houses, wide radius curves, and operating accessories. 60 minutes of world-class high rail layouts, all with scale buildings, detailed scenery, incredible vistas, and an irresistible mix of diesel and steam locomotive action. Prepare to be amazed. From the creators of A Lionel Christmas and other great Christmas videos, an all-new Christmas train spectacular.
Christmas and toy trains just seem to go together, and no one captures that spirit better than TM Books and Video. Tom Gurman always wanted a Christmas layout that he could keep up all year round. It took him 50 years and an addition to his house, but he finally has his year-round layout. Steve Klein built a winter layout featuring a starry night sky over a sparkling village at Christmas time nestled near the Rocky Mountains. Gordon Huff sets the bar high, both for enthusiasm and for multi-level Christmas layouts. It took years, but Bob Wilkie finally has his dream layout, and John Smith commissioned TW Design to create a museum-quality layout that features both realism and fantasy. Marvelous stories that will tug at your heart, train buff or not. Plus the Christmas train exhibits at the Hancock Building and NBC Tower in Chicago. All shot in high definition and widescreen. We call this new DVD Christmas Train Spectacular. Why? Because the Toy Train Christmas displays are spectacular. Prepare to be amazed, and Merry Christmas.
Hi everybody, I'm Tom Snyder and welcome to Lionel Train's 100th anniversary. Let's go back to the beginning, to a loft at 24 Murray Street.
The growth of the company, the great job that Joshua Lionel Cowan did starting in 1900, the development of the Lionel trains, the hobby, the marketing, the promotion of it. He was a master at all of that. He was a great innovator. I think Lionel has always been an innovator down through the years. They've done some great stuff.
It's still such a mystery how that old Lionel brings out the kid in me. My Lionel train, my Lionel train. My Lionel train, my Lionel train. One day, many years ago, I remember my first toy train. I opened up the box so carefully, and I knew Lionel was staring up at me. My Lionel train, my Lionel train. Yeah. My Lionel train, my Lionel train.
Visit our I Love Toy Trains outlet store. We have a fine selection of Lionel trains and accessories, both new Lionel and refurbished Lionel from the 50s. A nice selection of Lionel starter sets, including the Polar Express. One of the largest selections of the Thomas Wooden Railroad in Southwest Michigan. Plus die-cast cars, quality toys you won't find in the big stores, and a fine assortment of DVDs, both for kids and grown-ups. Be dazzled by our 3-level operating O-gauge layout with 4-train action, even toys hanging and trains running on the ceiling. Our store is located in the charming resort town of New Buffalo, Michigan, just across the lake from Chicago. Stop by, you'll enjoy the visit. From Memorial Day to Labor Day and during the Christmas season, we're open 7 days a week, 11 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. Other times, Thursday through Sunday, 11 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. Our store number is 269-469-6811. If we're not open, call 1-800-892-2822.